Hi knitters, welcome to episode 110 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. I'm your host, Devin AT. Happy New Year. It is New Year's Eve tonight. Tomorrow is the first day of 2023. Very exciting. It has been a crazy, crazy day over here. It's one of those like, if it can go wrong, it will kind of days. So just bear with me. Take a deep breath. It's all gonna be fine. One thing I wanted to say quickly is that with January means that our retreat is coming up soon. It's in 26 days. So those of you who are coming to the retreat, go check out the Google group. Many of you, I think, were on the group and then unsubscribed because there were a lot of emails, but that's customizable. You can say, I don't want to get so many emails. Just send me like a daily digest or, you know, a weekly digest. You don't have to get emails every day, but if you're on the Google group, go look at it. If you're not sure if you're on it, email me and I can check. But go look at it because the itinerary is up. I've got some things up about dietary restrictions. There's a couple new things that have come up, and this is the way that I have to communicate with you guys. So go log in there. Yes, what else? Lent calendars go on sale tomorrow. Noon Eastern Standard Time. That is Sunday, January 1st. This is only my second year doing the Lent calendar. I did it last year thinking I didn't really know if anybody would be interested, and they sold out in a hot second. And then after that, people were like, well, can I still do the mystery knit along? I want to knit the pattern. So we're doing it all over again this year. It's going to be really, really fun. If you want to come get the calendar, tomorrow, Sunday, January 1st at noon Eastern Standard Time. I've got a newsletter going out today, and I'll send one out tomorrow too. Go sign up for my newsletter if you're not on that, if you're interested in that. Also, if you just want to buy the pattern, that will be available in mid-February, so you'll be able to do that too. Let's see, who has New Year's Eve plans? My husband and I were invited to several things, which is not normal. I feel like people know that we're not New Year's Eve people, and so they don't invite us, but somehow this year we got invited to a few different things, and we managed to kind of weasel our way out of all of them. We're just not New Year's Eve people. Like, we go to bed at 9 like every other night, and we wake up feeling good on the new year. So we will do that again this year, I'm sure. How about New Year's resolutions? Anybody? Before we dive into that, I just want to say that I am wearing my Vesper sweater. This is one of the sweaters that I'm going to be publishing come springtime. I put it on and I thought, you know, the sweater's not super warm. Like, it's not a warm sweater. It's kind of a thin sweater, but now I'm sweating. So I'm just going to go change. Hold on. Wardrobe change. Yeah, this is like a summer top. Isn't it cute? I got it at Target a couple of years ago, but it's like 60 degrees outside in a really kind of icky way. And yeah, it's wet though, so it's kind of cold, but it's kind of hot. I've been running around trying to put the podcast together. Children walk away with my podcast stuff and then they're gone. And all of that has me kind of in a sweat. Anyway, New Year's resolutions. Who does that? Does anybody do New Year's resolutions? I kind of feel like I don't really, but I'm always on a quest to improve myself. Like, I'm trying to do that all the time. You know, for better or for worse. I fail as often as I succeed, if not more, but I feel like that's something I'm always thinking about. In fact, I just finished reading the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. I super recommend this book. It is great. Like, if you liked Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I feel like that was kind of an old school version of this idea. I like this book better. The basic idea is improve by 1%, you know, be consistently improving by 1%. And then after a while, look at that, you've improved a lot. So that's one of the things we're going to dive into with our topics today. But I thought I would recommend that book because it is great, even though it's not, you know, explicitly knitting related. It's life related. All right, progress and shop news. If you missed it, which a lot of you did, go back and watch my last episode. It's episode 109. I had it up on Christmas weekend, and you know, everybody's busy, and so not everyone got to see it, but it was pretty good. Like, it has a lot of good stuff in it, and I thought it was one of my better episodes. So go check that out if you missed it. The Gumdrop mini skeins are in the shop. How adorable is this? So this is basically my advent calendar, packaged up in a bundle, and it is just so amazing. We have 25 10-gram minis in DK weight, and I just did a price drop on this. They are $90, so if you want to go pick one up, you definitely can. And I can show you all of the accessories that we knit for Advent. So we have the Gumdrop hat, which I absolutely love. This has been my go-to hat for this winter. I've been wearing it all the time, like on walks, and if I didn't wash my hair and it looks really bad and I'm kind of cold, then I put this hat on. I just think it is great. Oh wait, that's the back. Is that the back? I don't know, whatever. The back is just like where the yarn ends are. Somebody asked me about weaving in the ends, and you know, if I am weaving in ends from stripes like this, if it's a circular object where you don't see the inside, I just tie knots because you can't see them. And I told that to somebody, and they were like, I'm really glad you said that, because I kind of felt like that was a no-no and I shouldn't do that. Like, I should be weaving them in the right way. And you know, whatever. I think if you're gonna see it, then you should weave it in and it'll look a lot better. But if it doesn't show, just tie them in knots. And then after you trim them, you know, it doesn't really look bad at all. So there, you can't even really tell that I tied them in knots. That's the inside where the rows started. So that's the back. And you can sort of see it. So I put that in the back and make this the front side. But I just love these ear flaps. I just think they're adorable. So there's the hat, and we have the mittens. So cute. So if you wanted to get this Gumdrop mini set, you can make all of these now free patterns on my website. They're all super basic, and so I made them free. You've probably gone and downloaded them already. Lots of people have. Oh, and the one that I haven't shown yet is the Gumdrop cowl. I just love it. I just love these colors. Makes me think of candy. And it's just really cute. And it's really easy. I mean, so easy. Such an easy project. And you can, you know, you can set these up because the colors are different. I think it doesn't really look like a set. I'm not a real set person. Like even in my home decor, I don't really like things that match. I like things that don't match but kind of go. And I think that these kind of fulfill that in that the colors are different. So, but do you know what else this would be awesome for? Is a faucet or a wee faucet. This would definitely make any size of the wee faucet, which is the children's version of the faucet. And it would be enough yarn to make probably the smallest size. If you made bigger sizes, you would have to use other DK scraps, but you totally could. Like if you found others that kind of complemented these, I think that would be amazing. So before I burst into flames, I'll take that off. And that is that. So I published these. That was really exciting. It's always fun for me. So I don't sell my patterns on Ravelry. I sell them on my own site, but I can still put the pattern on Ravelry and then it will just link to my site for people to go buy it. So it's always really fun for me for my patterns to shoot up to the front page and to stay there. And that's really nice. I really enjoy that. It makes me happy. Like I said, all those are free. I now have a bunch of free patterns. So go check out the free patterns tab on my website. If you're looking for a free pattern, right now it's all accessories, pretty much hats and mittens and one cowl. but there's gonna be a sweater in there. I need some free sweaters. I just like to have free patterns. I feel like, you know, I don't know. It's just like my contribution to the Knitiverse. I want to have some that are free, some that are paid for people who want to buy that particular pattern, and some that are free also. So the big thing that happened for me this week, other than Christmas and New Year's, obviously, was that I had a major come to Jesus moment. I talked the past couple weeks about my desire to card fiber and use the drum carder and spin bats and, you know, what are they called? I don't even know what you call it when you make a bat, and then spin the yarn and weave. And I just saw that and I was like, I have to do that. And then I felt that way for a couple weeks, and then I had a come to Jesus moment. And that basically was where I realized that I can't do that. Like, I can't afford the supplies, and I don't have the time. Even if I could afford the supplies, I don't have the time. So I thought about, what am I really committed to? Like, what is it that I really want? I'm sorry, my husband turned off the Wi-Fi because it's like the end of the second week of Christmas break. So we were like, no more Wi-Fi, and my house is full of kids. So it's a little chaotic, but the door is locked. So I am committed, and this is part of my thinking with that book, Atomic Habits. I'm like, what am I committed to? You know, what am I saying yes to? Because when you say no to something, you're really saying yes to something else. And I am committed to the weekly podcast. I had a lovely listener who I've heard from a few times message me this week. And she said, you know, don't stop podcasting. She's like, I really look forward to your podcast. I feel like a lot of podcasters, you know, have had burnout lately, and they're dropping off, and just don't drop off. And I want you to know that I have no plans of stopping the podcast at any time in the foreseeable future. Unless I become like deathly ill or some horrible thing happens, I will be podcasting here on a weekly basis. I'm committed to that. That's something that I want to do. I want to bring you yarn. I want to have 2 calendars a year. I want to have colors that are always in my shop. I want to have new things that I'm offering to you. I want to be a part of this community that we have going on here. And I want to be putting out knitting patterns, and more so than I did this year. And I'm going to do a little retrospective here in a little bit, but I feel like these are the 3 things that I am committed to, and those are the things that I really want to do. So, you know, other things, it's great that they exist. They'll still be there when I'm no longer homeschooling, probably, and have more time to do that. So, the retreat is in 26 days, like I said. There will be a new balm out for the retreat, a new hand balm in tubs and sticks, a new scent. And I'm going to have a new color, a 12th color that I will be debuting at the retreat. So my retreat attendees will get to see and shop those first, and then after that, it will be opened up to everybody. And hopefully they'll all post on Instagram about how much they liked it and how fun it was, and that'll be really exciting. So that's what I've been up to. It's been really busy, and it's so funny that I have had 2 weeks off from homeschooling, and that's what I feel like has been 2 weeks off. I have not taken any time off from my business because I have a job where I don't work a day in my life, because everything I do is so much fun. And, you know, it's not all fun. I mean, we're coming to the end of the year, and I have to pay taxes, which is the most boring thing in the entire world. So there are boring parts too, but you know, what are you going to do? It's just what you got to do if you want to live the dream like I do. All right, topic of the week. This week, I want to do a recap of 2022 and a looking forward to 2023. This is one of the things that James Clear recommends in that book, Atomic Habits. And honestly, I've only read it once. I will read it more times so that I fully understand it. But one of the things that he says is to look back and kind of look at what you did, because it helps you see how you've grown, and that's helpful. So when I look back at 2022, I realized that I only published 7 patterns, which for me is not a lot. I typically put out about a pattern a month, and 2022 saw a lot of growth in my business, and I changed things up a little bit in a good way, in a positive, growing way. So I only put out 7 patterns, 2 sweaters. I put out the Hepburn sweater, which is a very basic wardrobe staple kind of sweater, and the Everywhere sweater, which is also a basic wardrobe staple, but a much heavier weight one that you would wear when you're really cold. My shawl, the Lay Terry shawl, came out after Lent. That was last year's 2022's Mystery Lent Knit Along. And then there were 4 free patterns, the cotton candy mittens and the 3 gumdrop patterns that I just showed. So 7 patterns is not very many for me. Next year, I plan to do a lot of sweaters. But also, we're still looking back. I have had a weekly podcast since October of 2021, so a little over 14 months I've had a weekly podcast. And that's been really, really fun for me. I like talking to people. I like talking about the parts of the fiber community and the fiber world that I like, and the topics that relate to fiber. So that's really fun. You know, getting to know you guys over email and social media is really fun. I love reading your comments. Yeah, so I established a lot of business goals with my 2 calendars a year. I started that, I started that this year, 2022, with the 2 calendars. And, you know, there's some feeling it out. Like you have to figure out how many to make, you know, what's a reasonable number to make. I decided that I want to have specials on Mother's Day and the 4th of July, but there are other holidays that don't speak to me as much, so I'm not really going to worry too much about those. And I have a cast of regular colors. Right now there are 11, but after the retreat, there will be 12. And I'm looking towards new ones too, so it's exciting. There's a lot of growth. In terms of like, you know, my shop space, exciting things are happening because I only have a certain amount of electricity right now. And electricity is the sticking point for expansion. Because right now, I think it was just like a month or 2 ago, I called myself the pot queen because I got all these new pots. But now I'm like, oh, I only have 8 pots. Like 8's not enough. I need 10 more. So the shop is growing. You know, once I can afford it, I'm going to put in more electricity and I will be able to dye even more yarn. So I guess what I'm saying is Knitty McPurly is doing amazing thanks to you guys, and it's growing. And, you know, after 2019 and the difficulty that hit the knitting community so hard, I didn't know what was going to happen next. I didn't know if I was going to be allowed to have a business, and I do because of you guys. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, that's really huge. So for 2023, my goals include continuing what I established in 2022, which was big. It was a lot of growth. So continuing with that. Next year, I want to publish more patterns. I want to publish the Vesper sweater that I was wearing a little bit ago. I want to publish the gilded sweater that's in my knitting bag downstairs, but I've shown that a couple times. I am planning a dude sweater, a sweater for men. I have done a lot of research and I've done a lot of design, sketching and planning and swatching for that. So all of these are going to come out next year. And more sweaters. Like I've got a lot of sweaters in my mind, and it's going to be a lot of sweaters because that's my favorite thing. I really like doing those the most. The Lent calendar is always going to be a shawl, and the Advent calendar is going to be something different every year. Next year we'll do Christmas ornaments. It'll be fun. But I plan to grow the business. Like I said, I want to put in a new breaker panel and add more power. So that's going to be great. I need more spin dryers and more drying racks. I've got a lot of space. I just need more power to run all of this equipment. So that's going to be really awesome. I started my business in 2017 and I had a 10-year plan. So we're 5 years into my 10-year plan. And I figured by the end of 10 years, which is when my youngest daughter, when I won't be homeschooling anymore, I would know whether the business is something that has gotten off the ground and I can run with it, or whether I need to throw in the towel and do something different. Right now it's looking great. So yay, good stuff, good stuff. Okay, knitting fantasies. This week's knitting fantasies, I have chosen from a designer on Etsy called Miniminit. Think like minimal knit, Miniminit design on Etsy. This person is located in Italy, but some of her patterns are only in English. Some of them are also in Italian and in other languages, but some of them are only in English, which makes me wonder, I don't know if she is a native English speaker or if she just feels that her patterns would do better in English, or if she just knits in English. I know some people, I have a friend who, she's German and she has lived in America for so long that she knits in English. And she's like, I don't even think I would know how to read a German knitting pattern. Like it's been so long since I've been out of that way of thinking, like I think it in English. So anyway, I don't know, but her patterns are very minimalist and basic. So the first pick is called the Ebony Tunic. She refers to the yarn that you need as both chunky and bulky. So I think these words are pretty much interchangeable. You really just need to get gauge. It looks very easy to wear. I am a pear shape, however, and I don't know if this style would look good on me. But I like it. So I would be definitely willing to try it. I feel like it would look good with some opaque tights or leggings or something like that. It comes in 6 sizes and it has a shawl collar and it's just really cool. I like it a lot. She knit it in black, but yet you really can still see a lot of the stitch definition and the details in there. So that's really cool. My second pick is the slip over V-neck vest. This is an Aran weight. It looks lighter than that, but it says it's an Aran weight. This one comes in 10 sizes. It is top down, seamless, and boasts having no short rows. It looks pretty obvious like it has no short rows. Everything looks pretty simple. My guess, I don't know for sure, but my guess is that you are gonna start up in one corner and then, you know, come down, and then start up here and then come down, and then maybe pick up, or if it's a provisional cast on, I don't know, and then come down and basically, you know, knit to the V, and then, you know, probably under the arms, you start knitting in the round. That's my guess. I'm just guessing. Top down seamless, that's what it seems like to me. Maybe it has a provisional cast on here. I'm guessing. But she says, you know, it's top, and all of her patterns are top down. I also love top down because you can try it on. You can get to a point and say, oh, I need more length, or I want to do a different hemline than what the pattern says or whatever. I just like being able to try it on midway. So she says, you know, you don't have to wear it as short as she has it in the pictures. You can definitely go longer if you want to. Now, my third pick from her is also a tunic. This one is called the Salmon Tunic. This one is in bulky weight yarn, also top down, comes in 8 sizes. Just super, super cute. So I really like this. Again, she's Miniminit design on Etsy. Okay, comments roundup. I got a lot of great comments on last week's Christmas episode. Libby Snedden says, just laughing at the phrase Christmasing with the people. Merry Christmas, Devin. I hope that you have a wonderful Christmas. No one wants their face that large. No one is that sane. I talked about how some people actually watch my podcast on one of those gigantic TVs. And I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, just no. And then I got tagged on Instagram, like, here I am, Devin, sorry. Oh, you guys. This is, again, an instance of children running off with my equipment. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, Karen Davis says, It's a Wonderful Life was the first video we bought for our new VCR, and then it was the first DVD we bought for our new DVD player because we were talking about It's a Wonderful Life. She says, Muppet Christmas Carol is also wonderful. I feel like we watched that one year and I don't remember it. So we didn't watch it again this year, but maybe we'll have to next year. I love the Christmas Carol ones. Like I said, we watched all of them. Merry Christmas, Devin. This is from Wendy M. I really enjoyed your interview with Gigi and her story about her whips. I also follow Lily Kate Knits and love her patterns because they are so feminine. Yes, they are. Super, super beautiful. Oh my gosh. I've been up since 2:30 in the morning. Can you believe that? That's why my face looks like this. It's like, anyway, it's fine. I don't know. I just couldn't sleep. Anyway, it's a whole thing. Okay. Wendy Knopp says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I truly enjoyed opening and knitting the Advent calendar each day. Your podcast is one I always look forward to. Thank you for sharing your adorable family with us. Gigi is adorable. Thank you so much, Wendy. I appreciate that. I'm so glad you guys like the podcast. It's going to be here, so stay tuned. Laundromat Girl says, OMG, Gigi is so cute. I'm so jealous of your relationship. Just precious. Well, it is definitely true. Gigi and I have an amazing relationship, partly because we're exactly the same on the inside. When I get together with the nuclear family that I grew up with, my parents and my brother, we just laugh. Like, that's what we do. Everything's hilarious. And with Gigi and I, it's the same way. And that just organically happens. All of the other kids are more my husband and his family. And so, you know, I guess we have a different relationship. So anyway, okay, let's see. Oh, Christine's story from last week was amazing. At the time that I filmed the podcast, I hadn't even been able to listen to the story, but her story was so, so good, full of wisdom and life lessons. So if you missed that episode, go back and watch it. Christine is from New Zealand and she has just a beautiful accent. And then she left me a comment saying, Merry Christmas, Devin. What a clever husband you have to sort out the excerpt of my podcast. And I thought it would be so easy. Says me, who is a digital immigrant. Very much looking forward to your pattern for Lent. I know, who would have thought that it would have required any difficulty? And it really was not that difficult. It just took a little bit of thinking, but we figured it out and it was no problem at all. So thank you so much for that wonderful story, Christine. That was so, so good. Someone asked about the time zone for the Lent calendar. It is Eastern Standard Time. So definitely tune in tomorrow to my website for that if you're interested. Catherine Denny says, I have an Ashford rigid heddle loom. I love it, but I don't have enough time for all the crafty activities that I enjoy. She says, Ashford products are made just south of where I live. Amen, Catherine. Someday that time will open up to me, but it is just not the season, and that is fine. And I actually really felt like a weight was lifted when I let that go. Like, I just was so excited about it that I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do it. And then when I realized that I couldn't do it, I was like, oh, that's fine. That's great. Like, a weight has been lifted. So anyway, I got so many more wonderful comments wishing me a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year to everyone. Yes, leave me a comment if you would like to be mentioned in the comments roundup. Leave me a comment. I would love to include it. I'm sorry. I had a friend who had a total crisis, and so I'm getting a lot of messages. I try and turn off my alerts. You're probably checking all your devices going, what is beeping? It's me, as usual. Okay. I got an amazing, so here's what happened, from a wonderful podcast listener named Laura. And this is a very heart-wrenching story. And it is very timely because this happened this Christmas, less than 1 week ago. Laura says, hi, my name is Laura and I love watching your podcast on my phone, so no big screen worries. Laura, thank you. Seriously, you guys can do whatever you want. I'm just being vain and ridiculous. Laura says, while I enjoy all of the segment, my favorite is the knitting stories. I know, me too. I never imagined that I would have a knitting story, but about half an hour ago, I did. I have been working on a cardigan for my father for a few months. He has been very ill off and on for the last several years. He would always get me yarn from yard sales that he came across, and almost every Sunday when we came over after church, he would have a present for me. I've made him things in the past, but as he had slowed down quite a bit recently, I thought a cardigan would be something that he would use. I was almost finished with the cardigan when he took a turn for the worse. Daddy went home to heaven on Christmas Day. I put the project away, but then decided I would finish it and put it in the casket with him. That way I would have given it to him, and I would not have to look at it. Dad had lost a lot of weight toward the end, and I knit the cardigan at least 3 sizes smaller than I would have made for myself. I was all done, and as an afterthought, I pulled it on to check that the sleeves were even. It fit me like a glove. I've smiled, I've cried. It's a knitting miracle. I thought I hated this project and I was all set to get it out of my sight, but now it feels like a hug from my dad. Isn't that the sweetest story? A couple years ago, I think it was in 2019, early 2019, March, my husband's grandpa was dying and I knit him a vest, and I had it ready for him maybe January. So he had a few months to wear it, but he kept it aside for good. Like it was too nice, he said, to wear. And so they did end up putting it in the casket with him when he died in March. So he has it, like it's his forever. But this is just so beautiful. Like it was not meant for her. She didn't mean it to be for her, but putting it on, it was like, it's for me. And now it's a hug from my dad every time she wears it and every time she thinks about it and every time she sees it. Something that was such kind of a slog has become something beautiful. Thank you so, so much for sharing that story, Laura. That was super awesome. If you have a knitting story that you would like to share, please email it to me, Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com. It's Devin with an I, D-E-V-I-N. I would love to share your story. If it's funny or heartwarming or cheerful or gut-wrenching or embarrassing or ridiculous, send it to me because it's people's favorite part of the podcast and I love reading them. I can read it, you can send a video, however you want to send it, that would be great. Thank you so much for joining me. This is my last hurrah of 2022. Sign up for my newsletter if you want. Sorry, I do this a lot. When I'm editing, I'm like, why am I always doing this? It's like I'm catching flies. I just talk with my hands. I don't know, not Italian, but that's what I do. Anyway, sign up for my newsletter if you want to get the newsletter about the Lent calendar. That's happening tomorrow at noon. Exciting stuff. Go pick up your gumdrop minis if you want these. I have some left, not very many. And I did a price drop on them, so go pick them up. Okay, guys. Bye. See you next week. Hi, knitters. Welcome to the Knitty McPurly podcast, episode 110. We're a little wobbly today. I need to start over.